the new experiment being done in China, it's also a countdown for Europe. They're protesting against the lockdown for the zero COVID policy in China, and also they're asking for Xi Jinping to step down immediately. And of course, the end to the lockdowns. The two extensions that probably bring cosmogenic changes, increased police presence on the streets, censorship on the internet. The authorities in China were today trying to contain the anger movement of unprecedented proportions that broke out over the weekend against the health restrictions. Yesterday, Sunday, crowds of protesters responded to a call made through social networking sites, took to the streets of Beijing, Shanghai, and Wuhan. Among the slogans they shouted were, "No COVID test," "We are hungry," "Xi Jinping resign," "No to lockdowns," "We want freedom." Why are they hungry? We want freedom, but also slogans against the Chinese Communist Party. These demonstrations are the result of an explosion of popular anger that has not stopped growing in recent months in China, the only major global economy that still implements a zero COVID policy, with repeated lockdowns and almost daily molecular testing of the population. In the meantime, this is a time when China has seen the highest COVID infections. There is an assessment that an experiment is taking place in China with two ramifications. In China, the world is rising up against an apparent brutal dictatorship, perhaps subliminally promoting similar things to happen in Europe, as internationalists want to change the politicians who have now become hated by the masses, as well as the social, political, economic system with the Great Reset, frugal living, and community system. There is a question of whether China will manage to stay united under the Communist Party and not disintegrate over time. The international order has China's technocratic strategy of coercion and control as a model of global governance, but it does not want strong states and strong governments as what Beijing does to its citizens. Tomorrow's global co-government seeks to do to everyone. It remains to be seen whether, alongside the experiment of civil uprising against politicians in China, an attempt to assess the possibility of China's dismemberment has begun. The deadly fire in Urumqi, the capital of Qinghai province, has been a catalyst for many Chinese, with many complaining that health restrictions have hampered the work of fire rescuers, but the weekend demonstrations also feature slogans calling for more political freedoms, or even for the resignation of Xi Jinping, whose term as president was recently renewed for a third time. Police presence. This morning, police officers were deployed in Beijing and Shanghai, near the places where rallies had taken place yesterday. In Shanghai, 2 people were arrested near Urumqi Street, where protesters had gathered yesterday, with a police officer explaining that one of them disobeyed our orders, he said. The police also removed others who arrived there from the scene and asked them to delete the photos they had taken from their mobile phones. City police have yet to say how many were arrested over the weekend. Clashes broke out yesterday between security forces and protesters, some of whom held flowers or white sticky notes, symbols of protest against censorship. Many of them were arrested. Near the Liangma River in Beijing, where more than 400 youths gathered last night for several hours chanting, among other things, "We are all Jingjiang residents," police cars were parked while law enforcement officers patrolled along the river. This demonstration was good, said a woman in her 20s, saying she watched it on social networking sites. She said it sent the message that people are tired of these excessive restrictions. Added the young woman who did not want to be named. She said, "I believe that the government has received the message and will relax its policy to be able to cope," she said. Well, that remains to be seen. I doubt that's going to happen. Censorship, however, has begun. On Chinese social media, all information about these demonstrations has been deleted this morning. On Weibo, searches for the keyword Liangma River and Urumqi Road resulted in no results. Things have come to a boiling point. Due to strict control of information by the Chinese authorities and restrictions on movement within the country, It's difficult to confirm the total number of protesters, but such demonstrations are extremely rare in China due to the crackdown on any form of opposition. Demonstrations took place over the weekend in Canton, Chengdu, and Hong Kong, as well as Wuhan, the city where the first case of COVID-19 was detected at the end of 2019. The People's Daily, the official newspaper of the Chinese Communist Party, published an article today warning of the possibility of paralysis and fatigue due to zero COVID policy, without, however, calling for it to change. People have now reached the boiling point because there is no clear direction on the road to the end of the zero COVID policy, explained Alfred Wu Muluan, an expert on Chinese politics at the National University of Singapore. He said the party underestimated the anger of the people. The protests have unnerved investors in Asian stock markets, and the stock markets opened lower this morning. I've translated this for you from a Greek article. There are, of course, many videos in the article if you want to watch them. Please leave your comments, and thank you for your support. Kindly support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.